June 23rd, 1989, Greek Theater, Los Angeles. Ringo Starr was on stage, surrounded by lights, by sound, by 50,000 people, but he had never felt more alone. Halfway through With a Little Help from My Friends, the song that had defined his entire life, his hands stopped moving. The drums went silent. He sat there, frozen, staring at his drumsticks, as memories crashed over him like waves. John was gone, murdered 9 years ago. George was far away, sick, fading, and Ringo. Ringo was the last one still standing, still playing, still pretending everything was okay. But on that June night, he couldn't pretend anymore. What happened next, what those 50,000 strangers did for one broken drummer, became one of the most beautiful moments in rock history. This is the story of the night music stopped and love took over. If you want to witness the moments when rock legends become human, when fame falls away and only heart remains, tap that subscribe button. Because this isn't about being a Beatle, it's about being alone and being saved. They say time heals all wounds, but whoever said that never lost two brothers within a decade, never spent years searching for their laughter in empty rooms, never stood on stage in front of thousands, and felt the crushing weight of absence. Ringo Starr knew that weight. He carried it in his chest, in his hands, in every beat of every drum. And on June 23rd, 1989, it finally became too heavy to bear. To understand why Ringo broke down on that stage, you have to understand what the previous 9 years had taken from him. December 8th, 1980. John Lennon was murdered. Ringo was in the Bahamas when the phone rang, when the impossible became real. He flew to New York immediately, not for the funeral, but for Yoko, for Sean, for the family that remained. He stood in the Dakota building, in the spot where John fell, and he couldn't comprehend it. John, his brother, his bandmate, his friend, gone, erased by a stranger's bullet. Ringo didn't cry at first. Shock is a strange anesthetic. It numbs you, protects you from the full truth. But later, alone in his hotel room, the grief arrived like a tsunami, and it never really left. The 1980s were supposed to be Ringo's time to shine. His solo career was thriving. He had hit songs, sold-out tours, the respect he'd always craved. But every success felt hollow, because John wasn't there to joke about it. Ringo would be on stage, playing to thousands, and he'd think, John would have loved this. Or worse, John would have made fun of me for this. Either way, John's absence was a ghost he couldn't exorcise. Have you ever achieved something great and had nobody to share it with? That was Ringo's existence throughout the 1980s. And then there was George. George hadn't died, not yet, but he was disappearing. In 1987, just months after John's 7th anniversary, Ringo called George. "Let's do something together, mate," Ringo said. "Record, tour, anything." George's voice was tired, distant. "I don't know, Ringo. I'm not feeling it." "George," Ringo pressed, "we're all we've got left. You, me, and Paul." "I know," George said quietly. "And that's the problem. We're supposed to be four." The line went silent, both men sitting with that unbearable truth. They were supposed to be four, but they were three, and soon they might be two. George was pulling away, not from malice, but from pain. The Beatles had become a graveyard in his mind, a place of loss, a reminder of John's empty chair. Ringo understood, but understanding didn't make it easier. He was losing another brother, not to death, but to grief. By 1989, Ringo was touring with his all-star band. It was a brilliant concept. Surround yourself with legendary musicians, rotate the spotlight, celebrate rock history, but every night there was one song, one moment that killed him. With a Little Help from My Friends, The song he'd sung as a Beatle, the song that made him a star, the song that now felt like a lie, because he didn't have help from his friends anymore. Two were gone, one was distant, and Ringo was alone. June 23rd, Greek Theater, Los Angeles. The venue was packed, 50,000 people. Warm California night, perfect conditions. Ringo's band was tight, the energy was high, the crowd was loving it. But backstage and before the show, Ringo was quiet. His band members noticed. "You okay, Ringo?" "Fine," he lied. "Just tired." But he wasn't tired. He was drowning. That morning, he'd received a call from George. George was sick. Cancer. The word Ringo couldn't bear to hear. George downplayed it. "I'm fine, just a scare." But Ringo heard the truth in his voice. George was fading, just like John had faded. Just like everything good in Ringo's life seemed to fade. The concert started strong. Ringo behind his drums, smiling, waving, giving the crowd what they wanted. The hits rolled out. Yellow Submarine, Photograph, It Don't Come Easy. And then, the moment he'd been dreading, with a little help from my friends, the opening chords, the familiar melody, the crowd cheering in recognition, Ringo started singing. "What would you do if I sang out of tune?" The audience sang along, as they always did, but something was wrong. Ringo could feel it, a tightness in his chest, a tremor in his hands. He pushed through. Second verse. "Do you need anybody?" And then it hit him, like a physical blow. The memories, flooding in, unstoppable. What Ringo saw in that moment, nobody else could see. He saw Abbey Road Studios, 1967, recording this song for the first time. John and Paul standing at the microphone, singing the response. "I need somebody to love." George on guitar, smiling, relaxed, alive. The four of them, together, invincible, whole. He saw the Ed Sullivan Show, 1964. All of them so young, so excited, the world at their feet. He saw Hamburg, the dirty clubs, the endless nights, the brotherhood forged in exhaustion and dreams. He saw John's face, laughing at one of Ringo's jokes, that sharp, brilliant laugh that could light up a room. He saw George's gentle nod of approval after a good take, the quiet pride that meant more than any award. And then he saw John's grave, in George's hospital bed, and Paul's distant phone calls that felt more like obligation than friendship. And Ringo realized he was singing a song about friends helping him, but his friends were gone. Midway through the third verse, Ringo's hands stopped moving. The drums fell silent. The band played on for a few beats, confused. Then they stopped too. 50,000 people went quiet, confused, concerned. Ringo sat there, drumsticks hanging loose in his hands, staring at nothing. His shoulders started shaking. He was crying, not dramatically, just tears, quiet tears, the kind that come from a place too deep for sound. The band members looked at each other. What do we do? Ringo took off his headset, covered his face with his hands. Through the microphone, barely audible, he whispered, "I miss them." The crowd heard it, the audio system amplifying his broken voice to every corner of the theater. "I miss my brothers." For a moment, the Greek theater existed in perfect, terrible silence. 50,000 people, holding their breath, watching a man fall apart on stage. This wasn't supposed to happen. Rock stars don't cry, legends don't break. But Ringo wasn't a rock star in that moment, wasn't a legend. He was just a man who had lost too much and couldn't carry the weight anymore. Someone in the crowd yelled, "We love you, Ringo!" Then another voice, "It's okay, Ringo!" And then, something magical happened. One person started singing, softly at first, tentative. "I get by, with a little help from my friends." Another voice joined, then another, then a dozen, then 100. Within seconds, 50,000 people were singing, not loud, not aggressive, but gentle, tender, a lullaby for a broken man. I get high with a little help from my friends. Ringo looked up, tears streaming down his face, and he saw it, an ocean of people, strangers, singing his song back to him, offering him, in that moment, what his brothers couldn't. They were there, present, alive, helping him. What Ringo felt in that moment, he could never fully explain. It wasn't happiness, not exactly. It was something deeper, something more profound. It was being saved, being caught by thousands of hands before he hit the ground, being reminded that even though John and George were gone, love wasn't, the music wasn't, the connection wasn't. Ringo stood up, slowly, wiping his face. He picked up his drumsticks, hands still trembling, and he started playing again, quietly, just keeping time. The crowd kept singing, carrying the melody, filling the space where Ringo's voice should have been. His band members were crying now too, the guitarist, the bassist, even the roadies backstage, because they were witnessing something sacred, something beyond performance. This was communion. This was church. This was what music was really for. Not fame, not money, not applause, but connection, healing, love made audible. The song ended not with a bang, but with a gentle fade, the crowd cheering, crying, holding each other. Ringo stood at his drums, looked out at the sea of faces, and said 2 words, "Thank you," his voice breaking on both syllables. The crowd roared, not in excitement, but in understanding. They knew what they just witnessed, what they'd just been part of. They had saved Ringo Starr, and in doing so, they had saved something in themselves. Backstage, after the show, Ringo sat in his dressing room, alone. His band members gave him space, knowing he needed it. He stared at himself in the mirror, face puffy from crying, eyes red. He looked old, tired, human, and for the first time in years, that felt okay. He didn't have to be the funny one, the lucky one, the survivor. He could just be Ringo, a man who missed his friends, who hurt, who needed help. There was a knock on the door, his tour manager. "Ringo, there are people outside, fans. They want to see you. Tell them I'll sign autographs tomorrow," Ringo said. "No, they don't want autographs. They just want to be with you." Ringo looked up. "What?" "There's hundreds of them, just standing outside, holding candles, singing Beatles songs." Ringo walked to the window, looked out, and there they were, a silent vigil, a community of strangers united by music and loss. Some held signs. "We love you, Ringo. You're not alone." Others just stood, witnessing, being present. Ringo opened the window, and they looked up, and they started singing again, with a little help from my friends. And this time, Ringo sang with them. News of what happened spread quickly. Music journalists called it the most human moment in rock history. Fans who were there told their friends, their families, their children. It became legend. The night Ringo Starr broke down, and the crowd caught him, but the impact went deeper than headlines. Paul McCartney heard about it, called Ringo immediately. "I heard what happened," Paul said, his voice thick with emotion. "Yeah," Ringo said, "I lost it." "No," Paul corrected. "You found it. You found what matters." They talked for hours, really talked, for the first time since John died, about the grief, the guilt, the impossible weight of being the survivors. "We have to stick together," Paul said. "We're all that's left." "I know," Ringo said. "I'm trying. So am I." Paul admitted, "So am I." George called too, the next day. his voice weak but warm. "I wish I'd been there," George said. "Me too," Ringo said. "I miss you, Georgie." "I'm still here," George said. "Not for much longer, but I'm still here." "Don't talk like that," Ringo pleaded. "It's okay," George said gently. "What happened last night, that's what it's all about, Ringo." "What do you mean?" "Love," George said simply. "Those people loved you, really loved you, not because you're famous, but because you're you. That's all any of us want, to be loved for who we are, not what we've accomplished." Ringo nodded, even though George couldn't see him. "Thank you, George." "For what?" "For reminding me why we did this, why we played music in the first place." George smiled. Ringo could hear it in his voice. "We did it for moments like last night, for connection, for love. Everything else, the fame, the money, the screaming fans, that was just noise. Last night was the music." Ringo continued touring, but something had changed. He stopped pretending to be okay, stopped hiding his grief behind jokes and smiles. When he sang "With a Little Help from My Friends," he let himself feel it, all of it, and the audiences responded. Not with pity, but with solidarity, because everyone has lost someone. Everyone carries grief, and seeing Ringo be honest about his gave them permission to be honest about theirs. The moment at the Greek Theater became a touchstone. Whenever Ringo felt alone, whenever the weight became too much, he remembered that night. He remembered 50,000 strangers singing him back to life. He remembered that love doesn't die when people die. It just changes form. John's love wasn't gone. It was in every person who sang a Beatles song. George's love wasn't fading. It was in every moment of connection and grace. The Beatles weren't dead. They were immortal, not as individuals, but as an idea. The idea that music can save you, that friendship matters more than fame, that love is all you need. Today, Ringo Starr is in his 80s, still drumming, still touring, still spreading peace and love. When asked about that night in 1989, his eyes still fill with tears. "It was the lowest moment of my life," he says, "and the most beautiful. I learned something that night. I learned that I'm not alone. None of us are. We all need a little help from our friends, and sometimes those friends are strangers in a crowd. Sometimes they're the people singing your song back to you when you can't sing it yourself. That's what love is. That's what family is. It's not blood. It's showing up when someone's falling apart. The next time you're at a concert and the crowd starts singing along, remember, you're not just singing a song, you're saving someone. Maybe the person on stage, maybe the person next to you, maybe yourself. Music is a lifeline, thrown across the void between us. And on June 23rd, 1989, 50,000 people threw that lifeline to Ringo Starr, and he caught it, and he survived, and he's still here, still drumming, still reminding us that no matter how alone we feel, we're never truly alone. As long as there's music, as long as there's love, as long as there's someone willing to sing, we'll get by with a little help from our friends. Ringo Starr, the luckiest man in the world, not because he was a Beatle, but because when he broke down, the world caught him and sang him back to life. Peace and love. Peace and love. Always.